WikiLeaks was supposed to be a haven for whistleblowers, people who have important information to disclose and need a safe way to share it. But now it's playing a prominent role in the presidential race, prompting charges that it's working with foreign actors to tilt the election. WikiLeaks became a household name in 2010 after the site's revelations about the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. For some, WikiLeaks' commitment to radical transparency filled an important need.
WikiLeaks has done what media outlets can't do or won't do, which is shine light on things that are operating in the dark.
But recent events are prompting a reassessment of WikiLeaks' methods. Right before the Democratic National Convention, WikiLeaks published thousands of internal DNC emails showing party leaders worked against Bernie Sanders. The revelations outraged Sanders supporters and cost DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz her job.
She will resign as head of the Democratic National Committee.
But U.S. officials blame Russian intelligence for hacking the DNC's servers, raising questions about whether WikiLeaks and Julian Assange are working with Russia to influence the election.
Would you be able to say categorically that a foreign government did not hand you this material?
What I can say categorically is that we have published proof that the election campaign of Bernie Sanders was sabotaged.
If a foreign government is involved, isn't that crucial information to civilians?
I think that is an interesting question.
But Assange also argues that the source doesn't matter and that calls for full disclosure are offensive.
Why shouldn't the American people look at this and say, this is an effort to undermine the Clinton campaign?
A kind of McCarthyist hysteria trying to depict one of the candidates as somehow a Manchurian candidate, I think is a bit disturbing. And then also a push for journalists to reveal their sources by other journalists. Disgusting.
Which isn't the same as saying that Russia wasn't involved. So, as you guys all know, sources routinely leak things because they have an interest in leaking the material in question.
More often than not.
More often than not. I think what's fascinating here is that this is a rare case where the possibility of the leak unfolding a certain way would be an even bigger story than the material leaked itself. I mean, the DNC stuff was a big deal. People were outraged about it at the DNC, people who back Sanders. But if Russia's trying to tilt the balance in this election, that's a much bigger deal.
Well, I think the thing that Julian Assange is forgetting there is that the source of a leak is always part of the story. I mean, to say, well, you shouldn't question who the source of the leak is because it comes from the media, that's never been the case. It's always part of the story. With the Pentagon Papers, everybody tried to find out. We've learned out about Daniel Ellsberg later, but everybody wanted to know where they came from. It would have been part of the story. With Snowden and the NSA, certainly Snowden and his associations with the NSA were part of that story. And especially, I would say even more than either of those in the early stages with the leaks about the DNC, which of course takes us back to another leak about some DNC issues back in Watergate. I mean, that was all about bugging the Democratic National Committee. Do we even remember that? That there was a deep throat in there. Everyone tried to find out who that was. It's always part of the story.
Let's get you guys in here early this time. What do you think?
I thought that Julian Assange had a really good point. Why is the media asking me to reveal it? You can go. I mean, I think we are right to ask the question, but we should just go find out on our own, right, and find out who the source is, rather than telling, why don't you tell me who it is? I mean, it's like outing your own source. I thought that line of questioning, over and over was not the right way to approach it.
Do you agree with him that it is neo-McCarthyist?
Well, I think we should know who the source is. The journalists should go out and find it. And I do agree with you. It has a big impact. I mean, it is a bigger story. Who is leaking this? And if it is Russia and trying to influence election, I mean, that's a bigger story than the DNC.
I mean, Julian Assange has over the years, at various points, used the title of journalist. At other times, said that his primary motivation is a quest for justice, and that doesn't always line up with traditional journalism values as he sees it. I think in this case, he is using the idea of protection of sources that a journalist would do, and using it to disguise what is, I think, a very transparent attempt to impact the United States presidential election. In the sense we do know, I mean, plenty of intelligence analysts have looked at this, and they have determined with quite a bit of confidence that it was a Russian effort. You know, WikiLeaks is such an interesting institution within our journalism world, right? It has gone through times when it is leaking broad arrays of documents in ways that seem almost ideologically neutral. You know, I'm thinking of releasing all the diplomatic cables. It was not just releasing the ones that made a certain set of people look good or bad. It was literally, this is everything the intelligence community and the diplomatic community, excuse me, has been saying. At other times, it's been very pointed. And in this case, I think it's very clear that Assange has a very specific problem with Hillary Clinton and in opposition to her. And this was a very targeted effort to hurt her candidacy. The idea that a Russian intelligence agency could have this sort of impact and be going through someone who is at least sometimes using the cloak of journalism to protect himself, I think is pretty disturbing.
But keep in mind, there are signs that it's backfired. To the media in general's credit, while the revelations in the leaked emails were played up, and oops, there goes Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and there have been more resignations since, as well there should be, the angle of where the material came from has gotten big play, and polling I've seen suggests that a majority of voters don't like it and didn't like the dismissive comments by the Trump campaign about that angle, so that's good. My understanding is that it's the responsible journalist's job to tell the reader, viewer, as much as you possibly can about the source of the information without violating a guarantee of anonymity. And so I see no problem with trying to do that here.